January 2nd of 2024. Thank y'all for being here. Happy New Year. We'll start off with the official call to order, and now we'll turn it over to Councilmember Duckworth to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and for the many blessings you've given us. We thank you for the holiday season that we've just come through and just for the promises given during that time and the hope of a new year just begun. Just ask as we move into this new year that you have us filled with hope, courage, comfort, and wisdom as needed. And just thank you for your many blessings. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next, Councilmember Smith will turn it over to public session.
All right, so that was quick.
Yeah, we just jump right in.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so glad to be in the new year, be amongst the living. This is the time that if you'd like to make any public statements, comments to City Council, that's not already on our agenda in public policy action or other action items, this is your opportunity to do so. We ask that you take about 3 minutes to make your comments. Want to be mindful if anyone else would like to speak. So I always say, speak now or forever hold your peace. Not yet. You all are on the agenda. All right, since I don't see anybody jumping at the...
She's coming up.
Okay. All right. Come on up. Amanda's coming up. Good evening.
Happy New Year.
How's everybody doing? A bit chilly out there. I am not going to stay in here, but I did send something in, and I didn't know if you had it, so I just want to make sure, and then if we could just talk about that from your end.
I was going to read it, but I didn't know.
Yeah, no, you can read it. That's fine, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you had it.
Yes, we did.
All right, thank you.
We do have it. Okay. And I'll go ahead and read this from Nanda Edgerton. Did I say that correct? A recommendation was made by Ms. Newton to not allow on-street parking on College Avenue, metered or otherwise, between 4 a.m., 7 a.m. to accommodate for deliveries. Deliveries are not made between those hours. I observed delivery trucks making deliveries at a much later time on a regular basis, and there are some attached pictures. So see attached pictures, and based off of the pictures, it looks like it says 9:41 a.m. and up to 9:51 a.m. when something is being delivered. So I will make sure that Ms. Newton, Lindsay receives that information, and I'll provide that to her to review.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the? All right, come on up. Just in time.
Just in time.
This is the public session. Yes, come on up. 3 minutes and state your name and your residence. Well, when you get to the podium, you can say when you get to the podium.
Not that big of a rush. You've got time.
Happy New Year, but you can say when you get to the podium.
And catch your breath first.
Melbourne, I live at 113 Preston Drive. Just one thing on my mind tonight, I saw an overpass, a pedestrian overpass in the long past, and I was curious about it. And I live down here, and I crossed by this overpass on 123. Now, I don't know much all about it. I don't know that it has a name, has anything, but anyway, I saw this overpass. I think it was in Phoenix, and it's decorated with simple materials, but it's made into an art project. So this protective screen over the overpass is made from basically chain link fence, but it's a beautiful thing that looks like the mountains in the area. So anyway, I just had this vision that came to mind. I said, well, I'll put that idea out there for anybody. I mean, it would be a combination art project, and right now that it's dark too. You walk, there's a lot of streetlights are around there too, but that would be visually interesting thing to have coming into the city, going out with some subtle lighting and just something that looks like the Blue Ridge Mountains, but in a chain link. And so anyway, that's maybe a project for the Culture and Arts Commission, which I don't know about, but anyway, that's. But I don't know, I just, right now, it doesn't have what's usual overpass. It's not protecting the sides. There's not a lot of traffic, so there's not a hazard. But most overpasses I've seen now have complete enclosure to protect from anything, people or objects being thrown over the side. So maybe that's part of a long-term project too. So anyway, thank you.
Well, thank you. We
Yeah, that's a
appreciate
great
it.
idea.
Great idea. Hello.
Hi.
I'm Mary Nestor. I live over at the Rosewood at Clemson apartment complex, apartment 602. First off, I just have to say I am an employee of Clemson. I'm here on my role as a private citizen, and what I say in no way represents my employer. So I've lived in the area about 6 years, just under 6 years. I only recently learned of the proposed change, which is apparently going to be implemented quite soon, to the Clemson downtown parking and the plan to install meters and remove all free parking from downtown. I have grave concerns and object to this change, as it makes the downtown the realm only of those who live in what are largely student accommodation complexes or the smattering of houses right near downtown. For those of us who have to drive, there's simply no reason why, which I currently now often go to meet a coworker for coffee and walk around downtown or have a lunch meeting. I'm not going to do that if I have to go and pay $2 or have to go navigate a parking garage. What concerns me more, though, is that combined with the proposed elimination of all street parking at Abernathy Park, Abernathy Park is going to become completely inaccessible to everyone except for those who are going to live in the new development or who live in the other areas downtown. Again, I frequently go to Abernathy Park to go for a walk or a run, but I'm not going to do that if I have to go downtown. First, I won't be able to go to the park. I have to go downtown, pay for parking, and then go for a walk or a run. I'm looking to buy a house sometime this year, and whether or not I choose to stay in Clemson, or whether I move to Seneca, or Pickens, or even go further afield, a lot of it will be based on decisions like accessibility to recreation and places where I can go during a workday and have a meeting with a coworker. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in sharing these concerns, given the increasing congestion. I don't think this is going to help with that. Rather, it's going to further encourage people to not want to live in Clemson, who are working professionals and families. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any public comments? All right. Mayor, I will turn it back over to you as I
Thank you
close
so-
public session.
Thank you so much. Our next item is possible approval of minutes from December 18th of 2023. Since I was not here, I will not vote, just FYI, if we have a proposal for approval.
We approve the minutes of December 18th as presented.
All right. Any comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you very much. Next is reports and discussion. So, Ann, we're going to consider a sponsorship request for Wreaths of America, and Andy, you're on the item, but I'm just going to take over unless you tell me otherwise.
Without further ado,
There we go. All right. Thank you. And then just to make sure everybody knows, they got the information that you shared earlier today with the update. And just to make that, so. And which cemeteries that you participated in recently? Okay. So I made, well, either Andy or Jeremiah or somebody gave copies to everybody on city council, so thank y'all.
So I'm Ann Wormuth. I live in Central, but I frequent Clemson, obviously the big city, quite often. This is Melody Jones, and between the two of us, we cover 11 cemeteries. And one of the things we wanted to do, we are so grateful for your support, I'll let her finish signing in, is we have an official certificate of appreciation from us, from our two groups for the city, from Wreaths Across America. And one other thing that I want to be sure you all are aware of, when we ask for sponsorship for Wreaths, every penny goes toward that. Other things like we give coins to people who sit in the veterans that sit in ceremonial chairs. That comes from either out of my pocket or comes from a sponsor, and this year was sponsors. The other thing that people have commented on is the Daily Journal gives us a quarter-page ad, and they do this as a donation. And what we've done is there's 3 groups in the area. There's a location group in Seneca. Melody has Old Stone Church in Clemson, and then I have Memory Garden, Abel, and Lawrence Chapel. So we just wanted people to realize that we don't pay anything for this. They just do it because they feel it's a really good cause. I'm not going to read all of this to you, except because you can read how many we list all of our corporate sponsors. People do things like they give money or they give other things. Since 1992, the cost of the wreath has been $15 per wreath. For a fundraising group, our choice is you sponsor 2 wreaths for, then it was $30, and Wreaths Across America, through fundraising people like Jersey Mike's, they would give us a 3rd wreath for free. From December 16 to January 16, when you purchase 2 wreaths, now they are $17 a piece. 2 wreaths for $34. Our program, due to matching an anonymous donor, we get 5 wreaths. This is why we come to you at the beginning of the year and say, won't you please give? So on page 2, I tell you that as of right now, I already have projected the people that have given me large amounts of money the past several years. There's no reason for them to say no this year. So already I would have 809 wreaths out of the projected 1,050 wreaths I will need throughout these cemeteries. Memory Garden is now at 507 veterans. And we added Lawrence Chapel this year with a formal ceremony, so we have 5 formal ceremonies going on, and it tells you in here. So I'm coming to ask you for a little bit more money than you've given in the past because of the price increase. Of course, if you want to add more wreaths, I'd be thrilled. So that's all that I have. I'm extremely grateful. I will tell you that I've had people, we put flags out in Mount Zion and over in Lawrence Chapel, and Memory Garden, they put out their special flag. And we've had people say, what are you doing? And I'll tell them, I'm putting out an American flag because last year was December 16, we will be laying a wreath on the grave. And this woman said, well, I won't be here. I said, no problem. Someone will come to this grave, put their hand on their heart or salute and say your relative's name out loud, and the woman started to cry. So we've had little kids come that have done it year after year. It's a tradition. It has brought the community together, and it is something that I think we should be a grateful nation for all of our military, and that's how we have said thank you. People have asked, so what are you doing? These people are gone. What are you doing for the living veteran? And I can tell you, I can give you specifics, but we do a lot for the living veterans in the area too. So,
How do you find out when someone has passed?
So what I do is I start in November and I come through the beginning of December and say, I call the cemeteries, have you had anyone pass? And now they do ask if they're a veteran.
Okay.
I can tell you, Memory Garden is fully documented. Mount Zion, not so much. We've spent a lot of hours going through and making sure. And also at the ceremonies, we say, if you know of a veteran that we haven't covered with a flag and a wreath, let us know, and then we document it and we get a wreath on there. So, okay, do you have any questions for me?
No?
Okay,
Appreciate the
thank you
update.
very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I
Happy New
just
Year.
have a comment about the Old Stone Church. Her question was very relevant to the Wreaths Across America with the Old Stone Church. This past December was the 3rd time that we've given the Wreaths Across America program there. First year, they told us they had 100 veterans. The second year, they said, oh, we found some more. We have 200 now. This summer, they did radar, ground penetrating radar to find out that in the old section, there are great expanses without any headstones. So now they have marked all of the unmarked gravestones, and in the spring or the summer they are going to place some type of headstone there. Finding out who is actually buried there is another story. But because of all of the changes, and we do check with the Duckett Robinson Funeral Home about who was buried during the year and if they were veterans. Right now we have 326 veterans, but even though the veteran number count has increased there, the awareness of the program and the love for historic places has really gendered a lot of activity. So I'm actually asking for a decrease in funds this year. But I just wanted to give you the update on the ground penetrating radar and what's going on there. And it's exciting when I talk to people in the community that that is taking place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Dave.
Does it say here what your request was?
It says right.
She has to tell you, that's just for me. The handout that you were given only applies to my
Okay,
group.
this is you, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick update. As of last year, we created a sponsorship committee, and they're reviewing all requests now, so more information to come in the future. So it doesn't happen simultaneously that same night, but it will be reviewed. So that's what I'm saying. So as soon as they get together, that'll be the next steps.
Okay.
So just FYI. And you have representatives from City Council on that sponsorship committee.
Who's in charge of the committee?
Who's in charge? City Council's, there you have representative from City Council. I'm kind of,
Sponsorship committee.
who's in charge of it?
It's a group
It's a
effort.
It's a group effort. It's a group effort, sorry. It's a group effort coming together, and then they present.
But Lillian's in charge.
So Lillian and Bob. So you talk to Lillian and Bob, you're set. No. Lillian and Bob are on the committee. Is anyone else on there from City Council? No. And so all sponsorship requests, and they discuss it, and then they bring it to City Council, and then ultimately City Council makes the decision.
Okay, and just so, point of reference here, so your fiscal year, when you've cut the check in the past, has been in the summertime.
It's at the
And
budget.
she'd say, okay, and so how come, you're not taking care of the buy two, get five? The way we have handled it is we cash your check, I send you a nice thank you note, and it is held in my DAR chapter treasury, and then it was just put in on the 17th of December in order to get that funding. So that's how we've done each year, so that we've taken advantage of it, even though you're not writing the check during that time period.
Yeah, and I mean, unless, I'm gonna look at Leslie, from a budgetary side, we don't approve the budget, or possibly approve the budget until June technically, so it's gonna be basically the same timing.
And that's what we're doing, and we just hang on to it because we don't need the wreaths until December. And the other thing is the wreaths roll year to year. So if I end up with more wreaths than I need for 2024, it'll roll to 2025.
Oh, good.
Here's it.
Thank you very much for your
You're
time.
more than welcome to stay, but we know that you possibly have other obligations, so you can leave at any time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy New
Have a
Year.
very happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Every year the money gets closer to the first.
That's true. That's true.
What's going to happen next year?
Thank you.
That is so true.
All right, next on the reports and discussion, Councilmember Smith's has an item.
I do. We wanted to, Andy and I spoke with him about possibly adding some language to our application process as it relates to accepting board and commission members' requirements. And it's just to ensure that we have representation on our commissions and our boards as it matters in our community. And so some of the information is here in the proposal that we sent out. It just pretty much says that in the event the commissions or boards do not represent the diversity of the community, council may take the necessary action to ensure equitable representation. That just gives us the ability to make some decisions in the event that we find we need to ensure that we are providing representation with our boards and our commission. So I also wanted to kind of share that, added to that language, we would also want to possibly put information about, at a minimum, the commission or the board should have this many members at a minimum. And that gives us the ability, so if we wanted to add and needed to add an additional, that may give us the ability to do that without having to go, without being outside of what our requirements are for that particular commission, that particular board. And I don't know if I left anything out, but that's pretty much what we discussed and what I wanted to bring to the city council today.
Questions, comments?
I think just one thing, I think we need to think about the language a little bit that we have in there, just to make sure that we don't put ourselves into a position where a future council might look at this and might do something like, hey, we're going to do something, we're going to remove someone from a board, so just so we can clear up some language. I think more importantly, because we've talked about this a lot, and this is going to be shame on me first, but shame on us, is that what we talk about this all the time, but we really need to do a better job and maybe include some language about the importance of us going out and recruiting, because we seem to have this conversation over and over and over again, but we keep doing the same things over and over again when it comes to time to advertise these things and recruit. I will say Lillian is the one that I've seen a little bit. I go on social media who is pushing things out regularly. But, and that might just be because she's the only one that's had the bad taste to add me as a friend on her social media. The rest of you are smart enough to keep me off
It's
there.
more about her than the rest of us.
But yeah, and I think we need to maybe include some language to talk about the importance of us recruiting to be representative of the community on all the dimensions that we think are important across diversity, because this will be totally unpopular to go out now, but as I was thinking about it, and I've been looking at some demographic stuff recently with the community, if we were really representative of the community, most of our members would be in the 18 to 24-year-old age group on our boards and commissions. So we need to think about, define what we're, and certainly 18 to 24-year-olds are absolutely welcome and encouraged to apply for these things, but think about what that representation across the community looks like, and kind of a framework for that. And but 100%, support this. I just think if we can just look at the language and just make sure that we don't have an unintended consequence or two in how we write it up.
I wanted to add something. Bob made me think about it with his phrasing. Is there a time when we need to consider, with our population changes, increasing membership on any of these boards? We were talking today that 7 on planning commission. That's really not a lot given some of the workload. And I don't know if there's a municipal association. I did a quick look to see if there was anything recommendation. There's not really.
I'm not aware of them. I mean, your 9 seems to be the number most of your commissions are made out of.
And so that's just something I want us to keep in mind as we grow. I don't know all the rules and regs about it, but because the diversity is important, but if we're also trying to bring in maybe for a special project, a special task force, some 18 to 24-year-olds, I mean, that's something we should be able to consider.
Yeah, and I think representation is not always about the terms of the numbers either. It's just that if you see it's lacking,
Right.
then that would be how you look at representation. So, for instance, if we say 18 to 24-year-olds and we have no one in that age group, then that's something that could take into consideration. So it's not always just trying to have the same number in terms of statistics and percentage-wise.
Yeah,
but I do
you're not
agree with you,
aware of that.
Catherine.
Perfect. Probably my comments to all of it are kind of reflect what everyone's saying is, but for me, the language, kind of like Bob said, I would tweak a little bit. To me, it's top line language, like the council should consider, should consider diversity within the community as they're making these appointments, as opposed to the unintended consequences of future councils taking actions that we may not agree with. So as long as we have it on the forefront that we're taking that into consideration, because any council can look at it. And to Catherine's point on the numbers of these committees, we probably ought to go about every 2 to 3 years and just kind of look at how things are crafted, how it's going anyway. But there have been times in past, and they will come back around, where we have really struggled to even fill what we have. So I will say I'm hesitant to grow anything beyond 9. You know, I do like the fact if we got 9 on some, maybe we do grow PC to 9, but you get a little bit of out of sorts with your meeting management right there, and then, like I say, it's just the historian in me is just like, it's been a challenge a lot of years. So I feel like we need to, if we just keep down the forefront and add a little language into how we select things to reinforce it.
I mean, I'll reiterate what you just said. I mean, I haven't been on council as long as some, but this is the first year we've had more people than we've had spots for, if you think about it. And, I mean, we've had to go back several times and advertise more than once to get to fill. So, I mean, I understand where we are, but I'd like to think that we don't let this one particular event drive the decision-making on that. And I could support increasing some of the boards and commissions, but I don't know that I would support increasing PC, BAR, or BZA. I think 777 is a good number for those.
And I think the key is, to what you said, John, is may or should. It's not saying that we have to or required. It gives you the flexibility. Yeah. So that's why you want to, but you want to give yourself some flexibility, because right now we may not necessarily, we may do it, but we may not have it where it's actually documented somewhere.
So maybe this is a good year to review all the language for all the committees, and let's just go ahead and look at putting that should consider or however in there.
Correct.
And that way we can just kind of work it all, and if there's somewhere we want to increase, just jump everything up.
Because Andy, I don't know if that's ever part of the comp plan review of how, I don't know, but that might be a good time to start a conversation.
Not typically part of that, but it's a separate conversation that ties into that for sure.
So I guess what we'll do is get some input and bring it back for further discussion so we can move forward on it.
Thank you for bringing it up. No other comments? Okay, appreciate it. Next is staff reports, and before we even do staff reports, Andy, I'm going to jump in. I'm not deviating from the agenda. Michael, is this your first meeting technically?
It is.
Yes.
We just, that was my fault.
Blew right past it.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so I just was like, all right.
I would have probably called you on that, Mayor.
Thank you.
He's not used to longer being quiet.
That would say yes.
See, remember, I missed the one at the end of December, so I was like, I thought that you weren't, I think you were out of town.
Vacation.
Yes, you were with your family, so good for you. So welcome, we're glad you're here officially. We just signed the official document, so we're good to go.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. You want to say anything?
I will apologize to everyone in advance. I have pink eye.
We're all a distance. Andy,
yes,
move a little further over.
When you all come and want to greet me in good Southern way that we all do, please don't. Yeah. I'm very sorry. I just started drops today, and
such a sign that
You
you're
don't
a
have to
parent.
convince us.
it is the most miserable experience that I've ever had as an adult.
The
actually.
joy of
I think
having
it's pink eye.
children.
It's really they're both very bad. They're both.
Well, we appreciate you being here for a lot of reasons.
You're a
Sorry
trooper.
you're having to bear through that.
Did somebody drive you here?
No, I actually had a court appearance this morning in Georgia and drove there last night and drove back this morning, and I was not, it was a very long drive. Yes. Immediately to get eye drops and then, it was rough.
Again, Happy New Year. Sorry, your New Year hadn't started off well, but we'll move on. All right, Andy, your turn.
I'm going to remind y'all that our SCDOT quarterly meeting is January the 11th. So let us know if you have anything you want us to discuss with them. The brand new real-time traffic system is operating now, but it's having some communication issues, primarily around 123 and College Avenue. Of course. But they're aware, they're actually letting us know where the issues are. So Nathan Hinkle let me know that it doesn't really count, I guess, because it was over the holiday, that he was able to make it from one end of town to the other with no stops. But I guess that's something, you know. Strawberry Lane ARPA project neighborhood meeting is on Thursday at 5:30 right here. And anyone interested, Spawn Ranch, that is the consulting company that's going to design the skate park, is having a stakeholder meeting at United Methodist Church at 6 o'clock on I believe it's the same time on Thursday,
Thursday, the 11th.
the 11th, yeah.
At what time?
From 6 to 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
That's on the 11th, and then the Strawberry is the 11th as well.
It's before that, it's at 5:30.
But also conversation with council that same night.
Good Lord.
We got a lot of stuff going on that night.
Can you send out these dates?
Yeah.
They're not the memo, are they? Okay.
So making sure the 11th is at 5:30 for ARPA funds.
Right, that's the community meeting for the
And that's here.
neighborhood.
That's here.
That's here.
Should we, I know we try not to change conversation with council, we're trying to be routine on the same date. Should we move that to the 18th so people have the choices with these two meetings?
It used to be at the end of the month anyway. I'm not sure how it got to
Usually
the
the third.
11th. Yeah.
So could we move that to the 18th, just for January?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So I was like, how did it get to be the 11th?
And the Spawn Ranch meeting, I think it's kind of it's a drop-in thing. I think it's not
I think
it's
when
not
Paul
a
sent that, yeah.
go and sit there the whole time. It's a drop by, provide
See the
input.
plan.
See the plan. They're going to be taking input for the plans.
I can't wait to see the plan.
Oh, it's on the
so excited.
4th?
Strawberry Lane's on the he did say this Thursday first,
Yeah, okay.
but you still have the drop-in, so.
Wait a minute, you said this Thursday is Strawberry Lane?
Yeah, this Thursday.
This Thursday is Strawberry Lane.
Oh, geez.
Thank you, Benji.
Yeah. Then on the 11th, you've got your drop-in over there. And then we'll go ahead and move conversations with council to the 18th.
Well, I'm going to ask if it's just a drop-in, you do.
You don't need to change it for the Spawn Ranch thing.
Okay. That's probably good because Ally and I won't be here on the 18th.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Then don't change it. Don't change it.
You tell us that.
You should have
Well, I was
led
about
with that.
to.
You hadn't gotten there yet.
He wanted to get you committed first.
Well, just to hear there when I saw the date that we're going to be at the municipal meeting.
Okay.
So, all right, let's just go back and recap. The 4th is at 5:30, and that's here.
That's for Strawberry Lane.
The 11th is at 6, and that's at the Methodist Church. And then conversation with council is at 6:30, and that's at
18th.
Fire station.
fire station.
On the 18th, so.
No, still the 11th.
Oh, you're keeping it on the 11th.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it on the 11th.
Yeah.
Thanks. The conversations with council,
11.
typical crowd.
We had more people.
We had a big crowd last time.
But I mean, with it being a drop-in, both of those things can work on that. Or you can make both those things if you
Yeah,
want.
conversations with council, if you haven't been to one, the attendance is diversifying and growing. We need to schedule a special called meeting for the week of January 8th to discuss a possible.
That's next week.
Yes,
That's next week.
to discuss a possible annexation.
Okay.
And I'm going to suggest
The 11th?
Wednesday or Thursday at noon.
You killed my
It's the
lunch.
11th, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
What days?
Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah.
Later in the week, the better.
Wednesday would be better for me, but
Okay.
I will make it work.
So we're gonna go with the 11th at noon?
Wednesday, they said.
Well, which
You
one?
said later in the week.
Yeah, Thursday would definitely be preferable.
I'm gonna
Just-
stay out because it doesn't matter.
Okay, as long as we're done in an hour.
Okay. We'll make sure we're tight.
Okay.
So that's at noon.
I know.
And I will
Can
email
we-
you
Can I
these dates.
Can I ask this, since the DOT meeting is at 10, can we do it at 11:30?
On the 11th?
Yeah.
11:30 on
I
the 11th?
cannot make that. I've got a dental drilling.
Okay, that's fine. I can do other things.
He would actually rather be with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
The dentist would rather me be there too.
Maximize the time right there, that's no problem.
So were we officially doing noon on the 11th for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Lunch?
And I'll be grumpy.
Yeah, are you catering this?
Actually,
I'm kidding,
yes,
I'm kidding, I'm
we-
kidding.
We'll do that.
That's awesome.
Ally, do you or Jeremiah have
It's your
anything?
idea, not mine.
I'm going on the DOT thing.
That's my lunch hour.
Yeah.
I,
Anything else we can fit on Thursday, the 11th?
I'm sure there is.
Just
we got
get
breakfast
8 to 5, just be here 8 to 5.
For the DOT, I do want to just kind of keep in front of them about state roads in the city, the terrible shape they're in, prioritizing those, or if a city's willing to take them over either by doing the work and turning it over, giving us the money and us accepting them, or And I know right now the answer is, oh, well, they're just covered up because of all this ARPA money. This problem existed long before that money came along, and it will be there long after it's gone. So if they can't solve for yes now, at least putting a plan in place that's actionable, that doesn't just keep getting overrun by every big project in every county and state roads and big areas. So we've got a lot of bad roads within our city that are state. So I just like to keep that in front of them and just, I mean, the answer just can't be, well, it's too far down the private road. So there's got to be a plan.
Their plan is that they will never pave those roads.
And the state legislature's about to go in, I think, next week in session. We need to maybe kind of direct some attention that way about it as well, because we can't be the only municipality with this challenge.
I promise we are not the only municipality.
Yeah, so maybe we try to find some friends to, not asking for a free ride, we'll take them.
That's what I think is the best solution, to be perfectly honest.
But,
Put it on our schedule instead of somebody else's.
yeah, so. Or just getting the plan, like I say, this ARPA money's gonna run out at some point, and so it might be a few years, but at least knowing what that looks like. So I just wanna keep that on the forefront for our DOT for another 363 days anyway.
I guess then I
They're
have to take
telling
it
us
up.
that those roads, they will acknowledge they are important conditions, but their criteria for determining what gets paved, they don't meet that just because of the type of road they are. They're looking for major connecting roads. That actually factors in. That's why I'm saying they never will.
Yeah.
Because it's not ever going to be a major connecting
Until
road.
they change their criteria.
So, and that's why we gotta keep pushing, and maybe there's a legislative solution to make that happen.
It's going to have to be.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is policy action, 2-minute limit per speaker. If you'd like to say anything, Leslie, you just jump right up. Go for it. Go for it.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. We'd like to use the council to consider approving the first reading of an ordinance to amend the City Code Chapter 7 Finance Section 5 Budgeting, specifically Section D, which to say all departmental budget variance is greater than 10% or $10,000, whichever is smaller, shall be reported to the City Council during a regular council meeting.
Questions, comments for Leslie? Would somebody like to comment?
I make a motion that we approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend the City Code Chapter 7 as stated.
Second.
Any comments, discussion, public? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much, Leslie. Lindsay, I believe you're next. You bring your sweater up, you ready? It's cold.
Lindsay, there was a mother at gymnastics tonight that had a battery-powered electric blanket. That's what you need.
Yes.
I'm sure Leslie can fit that in the budget.
So I am here to talk about Chapter 18, Section 17, 18, and 34 in our municipal code. I went through, there are minimal changes that I made. We realized as we were going through that there are some significant changes that need to be made to the traffic portion of our ordinance, and that changing too much might have a domino effect, and so I did the minimum amount to just kind of try to bring us in line with where we're headed. So if you look at, Section 34 first, you can see what's highlighted in red. The MasterCard was just a misspelling. We are gonna tweak the schedule to just say that there's a city fee schedule, which will be an amendment. I eliminated the actual number of the fine in Section 6. Updated contact information as you move through this. Under B, leased parking, I eliminated the football reservation section. as you go down through, I cleaned up that the leases are non-transferable because some sections said it and some didn't. Clarified of the 24/7 spaces, the reserved spaces in the parking deck, because we have 20 24/7 reserved spaces, and that will not grow. It is specifically for the condos that are connected to the parking deck, and so I added the verbiage to say that it's there specifically for the residents because we get a lot of requests for 24/7 parking permits. And then there's the disclaimer at the bottom that says anything in this chat. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions, comments?
Then for section 18, I did not remove the fine, all that, because again, it's one of those things where we need to probably look at the ordinance as a whole, not just by chapter section. So what I did with this one is we just cleaned it up. It said 48 hours at a specified location within the city, and it's also covert. So that's the 15 days, converted the 50% for overtime parking paid within 7 days. So that was, I just cleaned up the due dates and stuff. And it's the same thing with the 1818 penalties and failure to pay. Changed it from 30 to 15 days, and changed the section to be commensurate with the section that it will actually reflect.
Now, are you saying that looking at section 1817 with the dollar amounts for the fines, are you saying that we need to do that separately to revisit that, or is that not going to change?
No, that's not going to change.
Okay, sorry.
It's just if you go back and you look at the entire traffic, like that section of ordinance, there are 37 chapters in it, I think, and it was written out of the police department. So there are police violations that still exist within that section of the ordinance, and then we have our traffic, which is been moved out of police and is a civil infraction. And so like as I went through and started updating the ordinance, it was just the whole thing probably needs to be revisited and cleaned up. So this is where we are with this. I dialed it way back.
Love some clarity.
Questions, comments? Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
That. All right. Public? I know there was a previous comment, but. All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
I move we approve the amendments to sections 17, 18, and 34 of the traffic ordinance, period.
Second.
I didn't know you were done.
I'm not, I was waiting.
There is no end, that was it. I was like, all right.
Another chance for comments, discussion. If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much. Next is other policy items. Consider approving the purchase of a new body-worn cameras and online stores. Chief, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This hasn't changed from last time we discussed it, other than the quote. The dollar amounts are a little bit different only because we're moving into the new year and their new pricing is in the new year. So I asked them to estimate as best as possible what the pricing would be going into the new year, and that's what you see in front of you.
Comments, discussion? Anyone? All right, if not, would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of new body-worn cameras and online storage with Axum as presented.
Second.
Another chance for comments and discussion. If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you, Chief. Next is consider an amendment to May 5th, 2023, Link Strategic Partners Professional Service Contract. Andy.
Pull it up. Okay, this amendment includes a couple of things. One is they received a much greater response than they had anticipated to a lot of our conversations, and they've been able to reach a whole lot more people than they originally anticipated in the scope. And they went from 10 to 15 to over 60. So they're going to need to synthesize these things, and I'm going to meet with them next week to figure out the next steps. This extends the contract out from this last month into February. It also includes a work session with the comp plan steering committee to make sure that everyone knows how to be as inclusive as possible and all voices are heard and made to feel welcome to participate in the process.
Has that already occurred, or is that?
It has not occurred, no. No, we'll have to send them, they're gonna send me some language about what the process and that program is all about. I'll send that out to them, and then we're gonna schedule it from there. We're also gonna do, in addition to this, just some board and commission training from the Municipal Association here across the board.
Questions, comments for Andy?
I have a little bit of heartburn about this in that it's a 40% increase in their contract. And a portion of this, a decent portion of this, and as someone who does consulting, I get that there's scope creep. But after they had done 15 stakeholder interviews and maybe we said, someone said, go here, go there. When they got to 20, they probably should have come to us and said, whoa, we're going outside of the scope, but they did the work, and now they're asking us for more money based on that. I have a little bit of a problem with that. And I know the training session, if we decide to do that and add that on, that's an add-on. We're approving that in advance. But
Approving in retrospect is.
yeah, approving, work that they've done that they didn't, we have some responsibility to not be like dumping more stuff on them, but the consultant also has a responsibility. I know I've said it before, it's like we're getting outside of scope here. We need to talk about a change to the contract to do that, because if it was a few $1,000s, something like that, or a smaller percent, but the fact that it's a 40% increase on top of it, I just have more questions and think that there needs to be a discussion with them about this before I'd be willing to approve it right now.
I also wonder, this process is beneficial, I think, for the purpose of the project, but I wonder what the final product is that's going to be handed to us. I know we're going to have recommendations, but then if we're going to be spending this money, I'd like to be comfortable knowing that we're ready to execute on those recommendations and implement changes into things. And so, yeah.
Well, I will say this as one of the people responsible for this scope creep. I admit, I talked to Andy about it. I thought it was important because more people were participating. There were more issues that came up. There were more discussions than what I think was initially thought or anticipated. I actually thought the scope was too narrow to begin with because I didn't think there would be a product for that little money for that little time. Right. And I agree with you though that should have sort of been part of the process. So I think that this is an opportunity, especially as we have the comp plan coming up, to specifically where we will need to consider different voices and it can be contentious.
Well, that's my question is our plan to, maybe this is you answering this, is the plan to take the data and the information they give us and put pieces of it into the comp plan? I think if we're going to be spending this money, we've got to make sure we do that. That's a lot of money. You're right, though. It was narrow to start. I'm not discounting that.
And don't get me wrong either. I would have said, if they would have come to us and said, hey, we need more money to do this, and because we're doing more stuff, if it was $50,000 more and it was worth it and we knew what we were getting for it on the front end, I'd vote for it every day. I just don't, again, having gone and done some extra work, that we don't know what the results of that work is going to be in those extra meetings. I get exactly what the thing that you're trying to do, that you know, I would have had a bigger problem if they had gone and done it and stuff like that before we had approved anything. But, you know, I think those kind of things are great, you know, potential add-ons for us to consider. But like, again, you know, I mean, that's a big premium on the project to come and retrospectively.
And I think the balance in there is, because it is a big jump, and I do feel like they bore some obligation to say, hey guys, this is really ballooning. Now, how much of it I don't know is because we were asking how much were they acting in good faith. Well, the city is contracted with us. The city knows they're going outside their scope. The city is continually pushing that to us, and we know if we go from 15 to 60, that there's going to be a big jump in price. So I don't think it was handled well all the way around, but at the same time, I think we kind of have to. There's, like I said, they should have pushed back, but I also feel like we allowed.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying nothing. I'm saying I would like to have Andy go back to them and say, look, this
just clarify it.
Let's clarify. We want to know exactly what we're getting. You know, how this delta between the 15 and the 60 is going to add significant value. How much, you know, how much of this is if we decide, you know, how much of this are you allocating to doing the workshop for the
how much is in arrears and how much is for
because I'm afraid I'd say half of it might even be in arrears, because we did, and you're exactly right, John, that's what happened. And I think to our credit, we were actively engaged with them, not necessarily thinking, as we said, oh, it would be nice if we, oh, wouldn't it be great if we. Yes, go.
And that's the big challenge, because I feel like we do owe the money. The work was done. It's just how we're getting here is just a little.
I totally agree with you, Bob, in terms of they should have probably came to us, and then I agree with John. But I think the issue was, because I've engaged with them quite a bit as well, I think the issue was when we first started, we didn't realize what we were going to encounter. And I think as time went on, you realized there were people who had been left out and were not part of that discussion. And the information that they were receiving from some of the interviews and some of the information they had already received, realized that I need to engage with this community's voices and find out to get those different pieces to give us a clear and a more concise product in terms of what they're actually providing. And so we did, because we did go and ask. And to John's point, I think what they were thinking was we knew what we were asking, so maybe they understood that we would know we would have to pay.
We all thought we understood.
We all think we understood, but I think there was, once again, the lack of communication and being clear about what expectations are going forward. And I think that's how we need to move forward. But I do know that as we had those interviews and they were talking to others, as I communicated, they communicated with me, is, oh my gosh, we didn't know that this existed, or we need to go down this path, or we need to talk to this group, or we needed to investigate this issue. So I think that's what led to all of the other, how we had 10 to 15 turned into more than that.
I'm not questioning the need.
So I agree. I think
we need to. I really would like to see
a better job.
A very detailed, clear outline of how this added value, what we're getting for our money, and then how much of it, again, break it out. Like, hey, 5,000 of it's going to be for the workshop, and 15.
Based on those 3 bullet points, Bob, where you keep going with those, based on those 3 bullet points up there, statement of work, those 3.
That's what they.
I want to know. I want to know what they have done, because they're asking us for money for work that they've already done. That's above and beyond. So I want that. Like, what are they charging us for what they did that we either intimated that they ought to be doing, or that the communication wasn't there, and that, you know, at some point, again, I'd like to, you know, and I'd be happy to sit down a little bit and say, look, at some point, as a consultant, you got to say, whoa, and come, because I mean, again, like, you know, a 40% increase that you're coming and kind of asking for retrospectively for a lot of that, that's not.
Andy, you had the discussions, you feel comfortable about give us a breakdown specifically?
This is what they told me. A lot of it has to do with their time, hours of doing the work. I'm not real familiar with the work, so it's not like building a retaining wall or something like that.
No, but
Those are easier.
How many?
Say, look, these are the concerns, and just spell this out a little bit.
Because I agree with Lillian. I mean, are we going to come away with something that we can put on the website, that we can talk about at conversations with council, that we can say, this is where, is that what it's going to be? Or is it going to be synthesizing? I mean,
I think this is very abstract.
Yes.
I think we should be able to quantify or qualify better what is happening here.
I think so, and I do think you kind of have to balance percentage with dollar amounts, because I'm like Catherine, I thought 50,000 was going to be a bigger number on the front end, so it is 40%, but in real dollars, another 20 is probably closer to where I thought we were going to be, even for what we asked potentially for, somewhere closer. So I think you kind of got to balance that a little bit. But yeah, I think if they could come back, I hadn't heard anybody harping over the dollar amount. It's just more of just give us the cost accounting.
I just want to know that it's worth it.
And,
If they were asking now, could we go do number 16 through 60 and we need $50,000 more?
we'd be like, yeah.
I'd say, go for it. I'd say, let's vote for it tonight. And here's what you're going to get for that money, and here's how that's going to add value.
Right.
I would 100% vote for it, but I just don't have enough information about what they did and how we got to this point where we're being asked at the back end.
So can I ask a question? Because I think it should be pretty quick and easy for you to get this information from. If we have a special call meeting on the 11th, we're not just putting this one vote on the agenda and deal with that then. That way, they don't have to wait a longer time, and we can.
yeah, because I do know that
You
one
would
of
have
the
to wait
things
till the
that
16th.
that I believe Andy and I asked, or I asked Andy for, is that it's not developing a framework for facilitated dialogue necessarily, but it was to conduct a training session for Planning Commission and Council relative to the work being done on the comp plan. And that was one specific outcome that I thought we needed for several reasons. And that's one outcome. But yeah, I think we should be able to come up with some other things.
All right. Good. Move forward. Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
Appreciate the discussion, comments. Benji.
Public comment?
Oh, public, yes, sorry. Oh,
Hold on one second,
Benji.
Benji.
Just briefly on that subject, I wasn't prepared to talk about this tonight, and I don't know a lot about it, but not exactly on the topic, but in general, the language of that and other things, I find that I call it jargon, and alienated is how it makes me feel. And I look on this government plainlanguage.gov website. Is it only me? No. Well, and this exactly what they say. Jargon will cause alienation. I think so. The language alienates me. I hear things. I see terms, and I have no idea what a definition is. I can't find any meaningful definition. So I think these things are looking at results that are. What do these things mean? I have no idea. So I'm definitely alienated by it. And I'd like to have more input as I'm more. I have a lot at home. I've taken notes and made things. I'd like to have more input as time goes on. And the quantified, their definition, something that has some meaning more than just words.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't notice that. Sorry, Benji. Yes, sir. Thank you again.
We should probably still ask if there's a motion for that. Do we need to, or because
No.
I mean we
No,
didn't?
'cause
We
we're
don't
gonna-
need to go because it's on the it's other. Yeah. Sorry. Just
You don't trust him after all this time?
I thought we
Mike, you see what I deal with?
action or non-action.
No comment. All right, go on, moving on.
All right, I'm back again. So we're going to modify or introduce interjurisdictional agreement.
Undo what we did.
Undo what we
know.
did. Well, we're going to just modify it. We're going to remove section 4, which is the enforcement portion, and we're going to do a separate MOU for it. And basically, we want all three of the three agreements to match. And so Anderson County approved theirs. And so Pendleton's going to go back and they're going to reapprove theirs also. So this will just.
We feel confident this will be the last
hopefully
time.
this is the last time. Amy and I were kind of wondering if we had.
You know my pulse on hope.
You know, we've got three attorneys.
Let's all throw $10 in the pot.
We've got 3 attorneys working on this, so you know.
Oh, gosh.
So you never know. So we'll have another agreement for the enforcement for the grease trap to make DHEC happy.
So is it that you need more money?
No, we're just trying to get the $10 million.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to satisfy the South Carolina rural infrastructure. So
Chasing the money.
we're chasing the money.
Chasing the money, all right.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure all 3 agreements match, and Anderson County's already approved theirs, so we're matching Anderson County, and Pendleton will be doing the same.
Comments, questions for Benji? Comments from the public? If not, would somebody like to make, hopefully, a final resolution?
I make a motion, we approve the revision of the Pendleton-Clemson wastewater treatment plant interjurisdictional agreement that is needed for SCIP funding requirements as presented.
Second.
All right, comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much. Thank you again, Benji. All right, next, mayor council reports, comments, new business.
Okay, 2.
Yes, sir.
First of all, please remember the picket painting on the 6th. Willie has put something out, and others have put something out today. So, and I know it's in on the city calendar.
Went on the email today. Went out on the email today.
Yes. And then
Lauren.
I'm sorry.
It was Lauren. You know Lauren since that monthly.
Yeah. And then we've got kind of 100 painted so far. I hope we're being 250. So I'd like to get 100 painted this time, if at all possible. Yeah. And adults are welcome to paint as well. I've got a lot of color, but I'd like to continue to go forward with that. And it'll be from 10 to 4, and we'll probably have about 24 stations essentially. So if people come, we can probably put them through there pretty quickly. Cool. So again, that's something. Hopefully, you need to bring Claire, and she can paint.
We will be there, and I'll be painting one too.
And Alicia, we've had this discussion already.
I know, with my grands.
I'll be there if I can play.
Okay, so anyway, please come. The other thing, and you all got this,
Yes.
okay? I happened to be there this afternoon checking on some logistics and everything. This is outstanding. And if you haven't been there and you don't go, you will absolutely miss. You will miss, that's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I don't know how many of this got, that little room is full of them. There's probably 10 to 12 in there. And, but they're done, it's graphic. I mean, it's all done out of wood. I mean, it's got depth to them. I mean, they're very current, they're very good. I mean, they're excellent. I don't know how else to say it. And I mean, but seriously, go. It's going to be from the 27th, it's already there, obviously, until May 31st.
Yeah,
But it's on the cam end. It's on the cam end of the building. As you first go in, it's on the left, and that room they use everything. But please spread the word. I mean, it's outstanding.
Awesome. Nice.
Thank you.
I have a couple of things myself. First of all, we are doing, I'm talking to people about how the city communicates with the public and soliciting discussions. If you would like to email me or call, Andy will get you my number. And we're talking about how we communicate with our public, because these days there are so many different ways, and who wants mail in their mailbox, who wants email in their inbox, who wants text messages, who wants to read it online. And so we are doing some discussions about how we can communicate that. And then the second thing is a sort of city-related issue, is that I'm starting to work with Susan Sharp of the Greater Clemson Community Foundation, and we are creating a certificate program to help nonprofits operate better and to have more financial stability and better leadership. And so that will launch. I know Susan has some health problems right now, but we're aiming for the end of February to start this, and it will be open to all.
I just have one question. And since we was talking about the roads, state roads the other day, earlier, the traffic light at Cherry, Old Stone and Cherry Road Extension, just feels like it's just kind of stopped. Is there any progress or timing or anything?
Do you have a report on that?
We're waiting on AT&T to move their cable.
Is that the one the chainsaw hit later tonight?
The power poles have all been moved. We're waiting on AT&T to move their cabling so that we can continue with the project. That's because I keep inquiring about it.
Have we reached out to our representative for the command, Amanda?
Yeah, we'll have to call Amanda and see if we
We need to push that along. I mean, I know we were thinking early football, we may be cycled back around.
Yeah, we might be pushing to get it next August.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to kind of, over the spring, get that done.
You got that, Andy? You got that?
Well, I got one. I've been going to yoga at the rec center. Not as exciting as what you guys are talking about, but I think it is. Tuesday, Thursday mornings during the year, they've got regular yoga classes, and the instructors are fabulous. But for anybody who wants to try it, they have a completely free drop-in class at 8:30 on Thursday morning for anybody who's interested in trying yoga at the rec. And then if you like it, you can buy classes whether you're a member of the rec or not. So highly recommend.
Two of y'all?
Mayor?
That's not good tonight. Y'all covered it very well. All right, thank you very much. Good comments, good reports. Next is to consider appointments to city boards and commissions. Would somebody like to make a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All right, comments, discussion, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we will be back shortly. Don't know what shortly is defined as, but as soon as possible.
We will be back when we're back.
I don't know, like they're not telling anybody.
I just realized that's probably what's
All right, okay, we're back on. Would somebody like to make a motion to come back into regular session?
Second.
All right, any comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we're back from executive session and we have nothing to report at this time. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, have a great evening, have a great week.
Andy, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Andy,
Yes, ma'am.
I really think you'll like Fred.
No, that's why I was saying, I trust that y'all know.
He's just gonna be, he's an engineer, you know, engineers are, he's gonna be all about the details, he's gonna be all about that stuff.
I was like,
Grant agreement today.
oh, is that what maybe I didn't see it. Jeremiah, we are off. Yes. We're off recording.
Who's our ACOG administrator, she just